Hi, this is Clayton with iCEV, and thanks for joining us for our behind-the-scenes look at construction technology program. Joining us today, we have Randall Hust. He is the construction technology teacher at Lubbock ISD at our Career Tech Center here. Happens to be in the same town as CEV, so a good friend of ours, right in our backyard. Thanks for joining us. Randall, to get started, why don't you just tell us a little bit about your background and kind of your road to where you are now as an instructor for construction?
Okay, so I grew up here in West Texas, and my dad was a contractor, still is, and I grew up around the construction industry. And so naturally, when I got out of school, or even before I got out of school, I started helping Dad, learning about the construction industry. We focused mainly on finished carpentry, commercial carpentry. And so I got to learn a little bit of everything, and ended up doing that for about 25 years. At that point in time, I had done a lot of different things. I helped out a lot with our church, worked with scouts, and just done a lot of different things where I got to work with youth and teaching youth, and just really enjoyed that aspect as well. And so I had an opportunity to come to the Byron Martin Center. They approached me. The teacher that they had here for about 25 years was retiring, and I was working for a church at the time, and I actually contacted the guy to see about volunteering just to help out. And the first day I was here, he said, "Well, here's the deal. I'm retiring, and you're going to replace me." And I'm like, "I'm not even looking for a job, but okay, cool." And long story short, here I am. This is starting my 7th year, and just really love it. This is a great place. The Byron Martin Center is actually kind of the central hub for career and technology education at Lubbock ISD. And so we have 5 high schools, and all 5 high schools send those students to us here at the Byron Martin Center. So they're here basically for double block classes. So they're here for about an hour and a half each day, same kids every day. And we've got just a tremendous amount of things here at the ATC that they get to take part of.
Super cool. It's an awesome facility, and the really fun CTE things and rewarding CTE skills that the students learn there. It's really cool. So tell us a little bit specifically about your program. What do the students that you see on a day-to-day basis, what do you guys do?
Okay, so basically our construction technology program is divided into 3 separate parts, just like our TEKS, and of course we're all TEKS aligned. We do construction technology 1, 2, and then a practicum in construction technology. So our first year students, we're going to go through, basically we're going to cover everything that the TEKS covers for Texas as far as construction technology 1. So we're going to look at, basically we're going to start out with some career exploration. We're going to investigate the construction industry, the careers that are available there. We'll jump from there and we'll go into our basic safety. And in that, we actually, the students actually earn their OSHA 10-hour card. I'm a certified trainer, and so we get them that certification as well. Then we go through hand and power tools, some blueprints, materials, go on into building layout and foundations, basic wall framing, roofing, and then windows and doors, so forth and so on. Realistically, it's everything to do with basic framing on a house. So consequently, we have a partnership with Habitat for Humanity. And that partnership we've actually had for a little over 20 years now, which has been phenomenal. We're actually building our 19th house, or just completed our 19th house this past year. And so that works really well with what we do, especially with our Construction Technology 1 class, because they get to, we go into the classroom, we do the theory side of it where we learn about framing, we learn about stud layoff and those kind of things. And then we actually go out just right out the back door, and we actually get to put those skills into practice by building a house. And so for our Construction Technology 1 class, as they go through their process, they basically frame and enclose a 1,200 square foot house, which is really cool. As we go into Construction Technology 2, those guys are going to be looking more on the finish side of it. We're going to deal with things like insulation. And so we'll look at different properties of insulation. We actually have a partnership with thermodynamics here in town as well, and they come out and do spray foam on the house. And so our students get to see that process, get to help out a little bit, and understand how that whole process works as well. We look at drywall systems. We look at how to install drywall, how to patch it, tape and bedding and texture, doors and hardware. We go into cabinet making. We actually design the kitchen, and then we'll build the cabinets for the kitchen, and then we'll install them, all the trim and finish work. We also get into like stair construction, suspended ceilings, different things like that as well. And again, we're able to work with the Habitat House on that. We actually will keep a house for 2 years. And so the first year students will frame the house entirely. It'll be completely dried in. And then the second year students, the next year, will get to finish out the inside of that while the first year students are building another house. So we actually have 2 houses going at one time here on our site, which is a pretty cool process. Our third section of that is what we call our practicum. We've divided that into two different sections. We have a project-based learning, and so those are typically third-year students, and they are going to be working here at the ATC during their scheduled time period or their class, and they're pretty much working independently. I typically will allow them to do personal projects, but I also challenge them with some different things. This year, we're actually going to be doing a program called Casas for Casa, and that is in partnership with the West Texas Home Builders Association, where we will build a playhouse or a storage building, and the students will design it. They'll line up the funding for it, all that stuff. Then we'll donate it to the West Texas Home Builders, and they'll auction it off for money for Casas for Casa, which is a child advocacy center here in town. So that's what those guys will be doing. We also have an internship program, and so students can be with me basically on Monday afternoon, and then the rest of the week they will actually be out on job sites earning money and experience as they go. They can do a paid internship or an unpaid internship, but frankly, I've never had anybody that's done an unpaid internship. It's always been a paid internship. So that's great. Get some industry experience. I've had a lot of students that really need that as far as to help out with bills around the house, and so that works out really well. It gets them into the industry as well.
So how many different students, you talked about there's those 3 kind of categories, I guess, of your first year, and how many different students do you have at one time going through those different areas?
So typically we'll have 2 or 3 sections of first year students. So that's going to be around 75 kids, and then we'll have about another 25 kids in a second year program. And then we'll typically have maybe half a dozen in an internship. That's one of the things we're really pushing, trying to get more of, because they don't take up a lot of manpower as far as teaching burden. And if we can get them out in the field, that's actually an area that we can grow. And so hopefully we'll see more of those in the future as well.
So it's really neat that you have the students, that are going out for like the internships or, being able to give back with these community service projects, but yet at the same time, they're learning these construction skills. I guess what advice would you have for teachers like yourself across how do you forge those partnerships, and how do you come to create those opportunities for your students if somebody was looking to do that in their program?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm a little bit spoiled in that, and in that I have been in the construction industry for so long, I have a lot of great connections. And so I still work summers, nights, weekends, and so I'm still seeing these guys and these contractors, and so they know who I am. So that's a huge plus. But I will say one of the biggest assets to our program here is we're basically overseen by an advisory board. So every content area that we have here has an advisory board that is specific to our content area. So on my advisory board, I have the president of the West Texas Home Builders Association. I also have representation from commercial contractors. We have representation from architects and engineers. And so we've got industry professionals that sit on a committee that meets twice a year to help align our program and our content with what they are looking for out in the industry. And so that helps to cater our program to what the industry is looking for, and that's a huge plus. But it also gives us great connections, because I can go to those guys and say, look, I've got 4 guys that are 17 and they're looking for a great place to work, and if they don't know somebody, they'll find somebody. And so that's been a big plus for us.
Yeah, that's great. So one thing to those that are participating in the session here, And if you've used iCEV as part of our construction courses, you've maybe seen Randall's face because he is our content expert for our building construction installation series that really follows those students from that build the home. And so that was a really cool project that Randall invited us into his program, and we were able to capture all of that from a step-by-step basis. I guess, Randall, what made you feel like it was important to do this collaboration with us, and what benefit do you think those lessons have for students?
It's kind of cool the way I got to be a part of that. I was actually speaking at a luncheon, and Gordon, the head guy there, happened to be there, and he approached me afterwards and asked if I'd be interested. And honestly, the more I thought about, being in the construction industry for so long, I have seen the average age and statistically, the average age of all the tradesmen is now in the mid to late 50s. And so these are folks where there's obviously not enough young people going into these trades. And it's clear. The honest truth is we've all been taught that the only way to be anything important is to go to college. And, I have a master's degree. I'm all for college. But I will also say that there's a lot of great money and great skills and great prestige in the trades. And so one of the things that I try to do, in my class and even through this collaboration process is trying to help people see that there is craftsmanship and integrity, and this is a great career. It is a very lucrative career. If we look at the numbers that are coming out, as a student can be making as much as a college graduate within the first couple of years that they're out in the trades. And that was almost unheard of 20 years ago, but because of the skills gap and the manpower shortage we have, those wages are going up exponentially. And so that's been a cool thing. One of the things as I became a new teacher, obviously I was an industry professional, but I certainly was not a teacher. And I came to the teaching profession probably like many of the folks that are in these classes today. I came through an alternative certification program. And so, my first day in the classroom, I was like, what have I done? And the resources that CEV provides are paramount. I mean, they're just tremendous, a great benefit. For me, obviously, I'm a subject matter expert in construction, but I have no clue about electrical, but I need to expose my kids to that. And so what better way than to go to CTE, find some great videos on electrical or surveying or any of these things where I can pull in assets from other subject matter experts and give my kids the best and most well-rounded education that they can get. So, and the other thing I love about CEV is they also have not just trade content. There's also the soft skills, which is huge. As we're getting ready for different contests with our career and technology student organizations like Skills or HOSA, those are things that we can pull in and help those kids get ready for the contests that they're getting ready to go to. So just a wide variety, and man, especially as we look towards virtual learning, man, I know at the end of last year, I used a lot of iCEV because it just works well for a distance learning process.
So speaking of that, what advice would you give to like maybe a new user of iCEV? Because obviously this is a very hands-on subject area, right? So what better way than to actually be in the shop and do what you're doing and what you described, but sometimes the environment may not allow for that. So maybe kind of some advice for teachers that might find themselves in that same situation and how you utilized iCEV to help in that regard.
So, two different tacks on that. One, as far as if you're looking for a virtual, where you're not going to be able to be face-to-face with the kids, iCEV is very thorough, and that's one of the things I appreciate about it. But whether you're face-to-face or virtual, utilizing every aspect. So if I just take a kid and regardless of the situation, and I just say, okay, watch this hour-long segment and then let's talk about it. Well, they're going to be like most of us, and unless it's something amazing, they're probably not quite as into it as we want them to
Plus
be.
it's Hollywood, and we're not Hollywood, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
That's exactly right. And so, really, I'm a big proponent of breaking things up. Hey, watch this segment. So whether it's virtual or face-to-face, using it face-to-face in our classrooms, typically what I'm going to do is I'm going to show them a segment, maybe as an introduction to the piece that we're about to be doing, or kind of as a refresher. And then we're going to go out and practically apply that, or we're going to take some of the activities suggested in the material, the supplemental material, and we're going to do one of those activities. So even virtually, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say, okay, watch this 15-minute video, and then I want you to record yourself doing X or something like that, some project, and post it to our discussion board or something like that. Just some way to tie, where it's not just kind of a sit and get thing, but some way to tie activity to what they're doing. One of the beautiful things about iCEV is it's multi, what the word I'm looking for, it hits the kids on a lot of different areas. And so we're talking video, audio, the hands-on activities. And so the more of those things that we can get, the better. The other cool thing about iCEV is oftentimes, and you guys all know this, we've got students with accommodations where they've got to have access to teacher notes, or they've got to be able to go back and maybe even have things read to them, or be able to read what the presentation is. And so with CV, we can, they've got their access code. And by the way, student licenses are an absolute must. I tried to do it my first year without them, and it kind of works, but the automatic grading aspect, talk your director into the licenses, I promise. I forgot where I was going with that, but anyway. But yeah, so that's helped me to cover those bases, because the student has their login, their license, if they need to refresh themselves, or maybe they have a processing disorder or something like that, where typically after a lecture, I would need to go back to that student, revisit, or give them a copy of my notes. Now they have access to all that. And so if they miss something, they can go back and watch the video again. If they're an English language learner, they can go back, and we've got subtitles, and they can go back and see which parts they've missed. So it helps us as teachers a lot on the legal side too. So that's another great benefit to that.
So when you show them the videos that you're in, what's their reaction the first time that they see those?
Well, I had a really short haircut at the time, and I did not have a beard. And so the first thing they ask is, where'd all your hair go? So no, they always get a kind of a kick out of it that I'm a movie star or whatever. And yeah, it gets old pretty quick.
Then they get to listen to you twice.
But the cool thing is, because we were able to utilize some students as well as we filmed those, and we're building the same type house, not the same house, but the same type houses. And so the things that they're watching on the video, we're actually going to go out there and do the same thing. And, some of these kids that, I had one just this past year, it was like, hey, that's my brother. Yeah. So, these are all Lubbock kids, and they know each other and they see each other. So that's really cool too.
So you talked a little bit about your students, and they participate in those CTSOs. You go to the skills competitions and things like that. So how many kids do you have that participate in that? And do you do specific type contests, or you kind of do a little bit of everything?
Depending on the year, it seems to fluctuate, but I usually have 20 to 30 kids that'll participate. We have several different contests that we can do. We have some that are more knowledge-based, so those would be like material identification or tool identification. We have some that are more skills-based, so we have a carpentry contest, which is a one-person contest. We have a cabinet making contest, which is also one person. And then we have one that's called Teamworks, which is really cool. It's a four-person team made up of a carpenter, a plumber, an electrician, and a mason. And they actually build an 8x8 building. They have 2 days to do it. And it'll have walls, a roof, some brick on the outside, and some plumbing on the inside, some electrical on the inside. So that's a really neat contest. And then we also have some, I guess what we'd call employability skills. So there are things like job interview, extemporaneous speaking. I actually had a girl that took 9th in state last year in extemporaneous speaking. And she had won our district this year. And of course, you know, with everything that happened, we didn't get to go to state, but she had a lot of potential there. But so just different things like that. I'm trying to think of, there's a prepared speech, a lot of different employability skills type contests as well. So big gambit that we can compete in.
So last question. Obviously, you see different types of students, all kinds, right, that come through your program. Is there any one specific like success story of a student that you'd like to share with us?
You know, man, there's so many kids and so many different stories, and some of them you're just touched by, some of them you're blown away by. But there's one that sticks out in my mind, and this may not even be a success story. I'm probably gonna be embarrassed I'm telling you the story, but that's okay. So I had a young man that he went through my first year program, and he and I argued mainly about safety glasses. It was just our, you know, I really thought the kid was pretty miserable in class. But he you know, he showed up every day, he worked every day, and he did good. We just butted heads. And he signed up for second year, and I'm going, really? Oh, okay. All right, cool. And we butted heads all second year, mainly about safety glasses. But he learned the stuff, and you know, he built some things and did some personal projects. And he was a senior at that time, so he graduated. And this kid has gone on to be very successful where he's at. He's a manager now at a local tire store here. Wears his safety glasses religiously because obviously if you don't, you get fired. But he's come back several times and just told me how big of an impact I made on his life. And he's not even in the construction industry, but he's like, you taught me so much about integrity, about craftsmanship, about work ethic. He said those things are things that I never learned in any other class. And even though he's not in the construction industry, to me, it's still a success story because this is the kid that I really thought was pretty miserable the entire 2 years he was with me. And yet, man, every time I walk into to his place of business, I'm guaranteed a discount. It's just one of those things. He's like, Mr. Rust, come on over. Oh man, how are you doing? And he'll drop by here at the shop. He'll just kind of pop in and the coolest thing is he'll tell the kids, listen to what this guy's saying. I'm like, you would have never said that when you were here. So yeah, that's a success story, I guess.
Oh, that's really cool. It's, you know, there's something about just no matter what you do, whether you're constructing something, working in a tire store, or working here at CEV, just take pride in what you do.
That's right.
And do it well and do it with integrity. So that message that applies everywhere. So I can see that definitely hitting home for you and for him, obviously. And plus the discounts are nice too. So
there you go.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us for this session. If you'll hang tight, we'll start our Q&A in just a moment.